Hi, hello. If you're new here, my name is Rain. If you're not new here, welcome back. I appreciate you stopping on by to my little corner of the internet. As some of you have probably found out from my last two videos, I do think I have a few new people from the last one, so maybe just my last video. But I've been in a bit of an art slump, going through some just New Year drag. I'm not feeling super into all the art I'm making. Haven't been feeling it quite as much as I have been in the past. I don't know if that makes any sense at all. But I'm finally coming out of the slump, I think, guys. I think that the 2 weeks of just doing anatomy sketches and looking at other artist works and just letting it inspire me has really uplifted the mental state and the headspace around art creation. And so I have some project plans finally. I have drawings that I'm actually excited to create, sketches I want to do, and mediums I want to work in. Like I am formulating the desires and the visions for pieces again in my head, so I have high hopes for those. Yes, the art hasn't been arting a lot recently, but I think it'll be over soon. If not, maybe I'm going through a style change and you guys are gonna watch me have a crisis for another couple weeks until I settle into a new one. Not sure, really not sure, but I've been enjoying art again, like properly enjoying it, so ultimately, what does it matter what happens, right? So, I do have some OC work I have planned, and then I have a project for my lichenology course that I have to do, and I chose to make it an art project because I could, and why wouldn't I make it an art project if possible? So, I'm going to be doing some, what would it be, like little ink illustrations of lichens and different genera, whichever you prefer. I use both, but some different genuses, maybe some species distinctions, maybe how to tell a different genera stuff for that class, and I'm hoping to show it on the channel because I really, really love scientific illustration. So if I don't make a video out of it, or you guys are interested in seeing a whole video of it, I do hope to show you guys the final results either on social media or the community tab. I'm just really excited for the project, and I'm gonna get started on it soon so that I can, spread it out throughout the whole semester without killing myself at the end trying to jam in a bunch of lichen illustrations. So I'm really excited about that. Let me know if you guys want to see the lichen drawings or watch me just go through the process of inking. I tend to ink with I tend to ink with fineliners. I love using nib pens for experimental ink work, but I think what my teacher wants of this art project, even though it's not explicitly stated, that I try to make something a little bit more controlled. I find that I don't have a lot of control with nib pens personally. They're not really as consistent in width, like the barrels, like the stuff you put the nib in, the handle. Would it be called a handle? I'm not even sure. You'd think I know. I took comics once. You'd think I'd have learned what that's called. But regardless, I'm thinking I'm gonna just use fine liners for it, but if you guys are interested, let me know. I'll be sure to incorporate it into videos. Otherwise, I'll just show you guys on the community tab or something sometime. Maybe show them randomly or just flash them on screen for a minute. But I'm really excited about that. So I'm feeling better. I'm optimistic about the work I'm going to create this year. And then I haven't really talked about it a whole lot on the channel. I'm applying for my MFA so that I can become an art professor. And so I started this process back at the end of October 2023, and I've been waiting for my the teachers I reached out to submit their letters of recommendation, and I'm only waiting on one more letter of recommendation before I can go through the interview process and figure out whether or not I'm going to get accepted into my online art masters. So, I think that kind of once it hit December and I was kind of realizing how close the start date for my MFA will be in the event I get accepted, that I was maybe getting a little bit stressed. I think I'm maybe a little anxious about maybe what if I don't get accepted? What do I do? I need an MFA to teach at the university level, and that's what I want to do. So I think that's maybe been making me more anxious than I would like to admit. Sorry about the dog if you can hear him. He has no respect for when I'm recording my audio. He's an old one, so I'm sure I mentioned it in my past video, Do You Need an Art Degree? This is a really old video where I just kind of go on a talk rant about my thoughts on art degrees and all of that. But to summarize that video, the general thesis of that video is I think that Americans, because I'm in the United States, I can't speak on other countries' education system. I find personally that we push people too quickly into making decisions about a degree. We push people into taking out student loans, to taking out debt, without knowing what they want to do with their lives. We don't put enough emphasis on career counseling and trying to ensure that college is the right thing for people, and that with that, our education costs way too much money with how things just generally are. I don't think art degrees are worth extreme amounts of money. And I think a lot of people don't actually need a 4-year degree in art to succeed in the field they want to go into. I wish that we put more emphasis and really sat down with people in their younger years, in their high school, and put them through career counseling, and we really sat down and we thought about what is the best degree for you, and we had a little bit more flexibility when you get into college without punishment for changing your mind when you're older and all of those things. But I do think if we put more heart into really talking people through these decisions and what they want to do with their lives, people wouldn't probably need to change their degrees as often as they do anyway. But ultimately, I don't think an art degree is worth $100,000 ever. I'm getting a lot of financial aid and scholarships. I'm applying to scholarships and things like that, and my MFA is going to be well below half that, you know what I mean? And I'm going to work really hard to cash flow it the best I can, because I don't want to take out any predatory loans that are targeting my need for a degree. Of course, I need a degree to teach art, which is something that's really important to me and I really want to do with my life. And I've put a lot of thought into it, and I would be happy to spend the rest of my life as a college professor, right? And an online college professor. And I've talked to people in the art field. I've talked to my art professors. I've asked them how they feel about their job. We've talked about it. I feel good about this decision, and I feel good going forward, right? I don't think everybody needs to do that. I don't think everybody needs an MFA. And so I guess ultimately, please put a lot of thought into education that you want, and if you're doing the best thing for you, your future, your goals, everything you want in life, and try to avoid Sally Mae like the plague. Sally Mae is awful, right? No one wants a Sally Mae loan, so things like that, right? So that's the general summary of that video, right? And so with that, we can move on out of my old video summary, right? Both of my beginner art classes, I had to take 2 for my bachelor's, right? One when I was 14, it was a community college course, and then another one last year, actually, before I started my YouTube channel, so January to May of 2023 would be when I would have taken that, I think, unless I took it in the fall. I don't remember. It was a year and a half ago, right? And both of those teachers were unideal and not particularly good instructors. And I had a lot of classmates who weren't art majors because they were the beginner ones, the ones that fulfill those kind of the art requirement for general education. And I saw a lot of disappointment and dissatisfaction within my course, and I kind of just don't feel like I can accept how it went. I feel very bitter about the fact that it was just such a disappointing and demotivating, demystifying, all the synonyms experience. Like, I, as someone who had been doing art for years prior to taking it, felt like a failure. And I felt like I didn't even know what I was doing. I got an A. I fought for that A. But I just feel like these beginner art teachers, I've had 2 bad ones now out of my art degree. Well, it's 100 to 100% for the beginner art courses that I had to take. And I just kind of want to be the better version of them. I want to teach the art classes that are required for the general ed and stuff like that, and I want to be that better teacher that I wish I had had when I was 14, so that I felt capable of being an artist. I want to be the better art teacher that inspires people to pursue creativity no matter the medium, and pursue those outlets regardless, that type of stuff. I want to be the good art teacher that, even if you're not an artist and you don't want to be an artist, you feel like you can do anything creative after leaving my course, right? And that's what I want to do and want to be with my life, and I want to do it in the online format, so people who have disabilities like me don't need to be on campus and don't need to face some of the uncomfortable experiences I did as a young, chronically ill person in an on-campus art environment where it was really embarrassing to be unwell, right? So that means a lot to me, and it's something that I really want to do with my life. And, I wouldn't mind being a botany teacher either, but I don't think I need 2 master's degrees. I don't know if they have online master's degrees for botany, and I don't really know how much they're seeking to have online professors either. So when it all comes down to it, getting into my online art master's program is kind of important to me. There aren't a lot of options for fully online art masters where I can do my residencies online and where I don't have to go to a campus or leave my home state, where I won't have people to care for me in the event that something particularly goes wrong with my health and stuff like that. And so I only have found one school I can apply to, and ultimately I'm just really hopeful and kind of anxious about getting in. I had interviews and hosted meetings with some of the people there who will be guiding my master's, and they think I'll be a good fit from what we discussed and how we went about it. But at the end of the day, it's a master's degree program, and I am somebody creating art on the internet for fun and as a hobby, I want to make teaching art my job, but I don't want to make the creation of art my job necessarily, because I'm scared that if I were to make my art creation my sole monetary my sole source of income, that I would lose the magic, or it would place too much of a strain on me. I think I'm always going to be a part-time artist, full-time worker, or art will always be a second job to me, And that's something that I personally am choosing to do. I very much commend the people who go out and really try to make the creation of art their job, because I don't think I have the mental fortitude to make my passion the thing that brings me the most joy as a hobby, that makes me feel the most fulfilled, which is creating YouTube videos, creating art, engaging with the community. This is something that is so fulfilling to me and makes me so happy. I don't know if I could put the stress of my income into it and still love it the way I do, and so that's something I'm personally choosing. I don't think I could ever make a full-time completely full-time income on the internet. Maybe I could. I don't know. That's not something I'm going to try to do. With that, it allows me to continue having fun with my content forever, because I'm never going to be stressed about the algorithm, what's hot, what's not, all of that stuff. There's a beauty that I personally find or value to the ability to have a day job and still create art. I am somebody that very much doesn't have the mental fortitude to have their art be what defines whether or not they can eat, feed their cats, afford health insurance, setting aside money for retirement, right? I'm somebody who doesn't have the mental fortitude for that kind of drain on them, right? I am a day job type person or a night job type person. And art is something that I want to always be at least a hobby. And YouTube being another hobby, I have 2 hobbies in one now. I get to create art and I get to make YouTube videos, and now I'm fulfilling 2 hobbies and I'm happy, right? But I'm just not the type of person who can handle that kind of strain on them. And so I'm really excited for my career choice that I have and what I want to do and this degree that I'm hoping to get so I can pursue my career choice, right? And so I think that me being just a little bit in the up and down part of it's coming up soon, this is my last semester, is what kind of put me in the slump in the first place. Looking back now that I'm kind of clearing up my brain a little bit and feeling more at ease, I think that I'm just finding that I feel better now, right? And maybe that a lot of this was just kind of strain and uncertainty, and I just needed to remember that this is kind of out of my hands at this exact moment, and I need to just settle down a little bit. Panicking is not going to make it better, right? With that, I'm feeling a little bit better, and I'm excited for things to come, right? What was this, a 15-minute rant about why my MFA degree is important to me and how it's stressing me out? Wow. Y'all really put up with some of the most interesting tangents that I can possibly offer you guys. Wow. But, yeah. And even though I've been in kind of this art slump, I very much have still been enjoying pursuing art and creating art for the sake of indulging the hobby that is YouTube video creation, right? And so I haven't really been feeling too horrible, but maybe perhaps just a little bit bad that I haven't been creating content that's quite as fun as perhaps maybe a few months ago before the recent stress, right? And I've also been doing a lot more drawing at night, so the video quality isn't necessarily the most ideal. I am going to put more effort into remembering to draw during the day so that I can record it with better light. So just a few changes I'm hoping to make in terms of my channel to make the experience better, right? Because I don't have overhead lights in my house, so you have these really bad shadows cast by my ring light, which is basically the only light I have at my desk. The only good light, really. So you get these bad shadows over my work. So I really do need to break this nighttime sketching habit that I've had, or just scrap the video that I get of doing it at this time of the day, so you guys don't have to sit through just dimly lit stuff, right? But I don't know, maybe you guys like the nighttime vibe. Let me know if you do, and tell me why, because I don't know. I don't know why you would. But we're now almost halfway through the video, I think, and I haven't really told you anything about what's happening, but it's for the best, because honestly, trying to explain what I was doing before I did it probably wouldn't have boded well for me. I haven't found that explaining things has been my forte in the last 2 videos, so I'm harassing my OC Eris again. Eris, not Iris. I realize that I say them kind of similarly, and I have a cat named Iris, so I've totally not been benefiting you guys by not making that distinction verbally clear. Eris with an E. So my OC Eris is one of my go-to OCs to just completely harass. I have a deep-seated love for Greek and Roman statues. I love them so much. And then just any type of sculpture that's kind of reminiscent of it is just, I love it. I love sculpture work. I don't have the kind of physical ability to do anything like that, but it's one of my favorites to look at, right? So I have a whole lot of files of sculptures, photos saved for references, a lot of it in my anatomy Pinterest board and stuff like that. This is my thing, right? This is my jam. And I've just kind of found that it's become a tradition, an unintentional tradition of just when I'm not sure what to just draw Eris and the pose referencing a statue, mostly nude. It's just kind of a thing that's happened, just harassing my OC. The vine look was because I just love plants. So there's that. And then the next day, I decided to do some Shenhe fan art. I wanted to do a little sketch of Shenhe from Genshin Impact. She's a cutie. I love her hair, and I love the bangs, right? And then it didn't end up looking a whole lot like her, but ultimately, I love the sketch. I really do like a lot of Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail character designs. I'm a fan of a few Azur Lane character designs as well. And I do really want to just do more little casual sketches like this where, I get to just draw other characters and have fun with them. So this one I'm super fond of, and I think I needed to do some fan art. I think I needed to really sit down and take the time to just say, hey, let's draw something that doesn't belong to you. Let's get a reference for a character and go out of our way to just say, you're not mine, I can't improvise that much, and just do it. And I think this also was really helpful for me. I don't know what got into me, but I found that I haven't been chunking out hair before drawing it recently. And I think that that's been a horrible idea. I usually really rely on chunking out hair into a very basic shape and then defining it. And I don't know why I wasn't doing it recently, but it has totally messed up my perception on the shape of the head for some reason. And I used this sketch to kind of return myself back to the hair is a big blob. Hair is a big blob with tiny blobs inside of it, which very much has been helping me in the last couple of days. Going through the process of applying my art style to a character that isn't mine, right? So the previous night I had been working on my OC Eris, so maybe this frustration will help if I just do something completely different. And you can kind of see off to the right in the corner, I reapproached the hair for the fairy OC drawing from the other video, the video before the last one, first week of January. So my first video of 2024, that character, I did play with her hair a little bit, and you can kind of see, I explored a different texture. I really like the new texture more. I'll get to that. And then I explored a fro, and then I tried like a straightened side ponytail with bangs. That's totally not in frame right now. But the process of applying my art style to a character that doesn't belong to me gave me this opportunity to really sit down and say, what about my art style might be causing this roadblock, right? So I went through the process of drawing anatomy and seeing if I just needed to go back to the basics, right? And it did help, but it didn't completely relieve the problem. So what next could be part of this stressor, right? So, or what's not feeling right about art creation. And so, next step, fan art. I'm horrible. I'm just like, draw anatomy, draw fan art. Those are the solutions to my problems, right? But I started my art by drawing fan art. I think the first fandom I ever drew for was either Sally Face or Arcana back in 2018, right? So these were things that I just kind of always did, right? Drawing a lot of fan art. And so I had this theory, maybe if I forced myself to apply my art style to a character that isn't mine, because I've been drawing a lot of OC work recently, maybe that will help me figure out what's not feeling correct about my art at the moment. And it really, really did help. It very much helped me figure out what exactly was slumping me, making me struggle in life, right? And so this did work. Obviously, I'm not the end-all be-all of art advice, but this worked for me, and so it's something you could try if you're having my experience. Maybe you just need to draw fan art. I'm partially kidding, but you know what I mean. I'm almost always looking for an excuse to draw fan art of a character that I think is really pretty, and I love Shenhe's hair, and I very much love the homicidal maniac energy. I would love to draw more homicidal maniac women characters pretty soon. If there are any from Honkai Star Rail that you can suggest to me, I'm interested. I very much like a lot of the character designs from that one. So, it was a very fun process. I very much want to draw her again, probably with paint. I was thinking about doing it on the brown-toned paper because I had it under her for most of it, but my Posca pens I don't think work on this paper, the white paper. I know they work horrendously without a base in the ELO sketchbook compared to the brown paper. I almost exclusively use Posca pens on toned paper. I find that the white showing through is just way harder to deal with and that the paper is just slicker. There's not a lot of grit to it. Grip, either way. And so I thought about it. I didn't really want to risk the white hair being really messy. And I very much was loving and feeling good about having the fun toned paper in my sketchbook again. I kind of missed it. I have a big fondness for different textures, more collagey feels to sketchbooks. I love sticking extra papers in it. I like my sketchbook to have almost everything that I'm making during the sketchbook that I can fit, right? I like to put my sticky notes in there, my little sticky note doodles, have them be flaps and little doorways and things like that, sketches on different paper, kind of glued in, cut out and stuff like it makes me happy. And I thought about painting her, but I chose to go with the white gel pen to kind of emphasize the shiny lights and stuff like that, but I didn't really want to go through the effort of painting her and kind of covering up the brown tone. And I kind of like the juxtaposition between the nice brown with white highlight to the white paper with no highlight. It felt very nice, so I'm very happy with the decision I ultimately made. But when it comes to the actual finished stuff, I added some little Posca flower doodles, and I added a side profile, and I put green Posca on the other sketch that I was working on, right? And I really love how the spread turned out, but I was now invigorated to try and draw my OCs again. So I sketched out the very basic pose before sitting down and actually sketching for the video, right? I had a concern that because the position was kind of complicated, that I wouldn't be able to do it without some reference photos, and I wanted them on my phone. So I just drew out the joints so that I can go through the process of actually kind of figuring out where I wanted beams to sit a bit more and all of that afterwards, right? So my OC Vivian is being harassed as per usual. And I should have started with this. I wanted this page to be all about Vivian because I had already done the pen sketch up above of Vivian and my eternally nameless OC and this kind of sweeter, more comforting side to their dynamic. So I wanted the rest of the page to be just a little bit more of an exploration of them, how she can be a complete and absolute menace to his existence, ruin his life, stress him out, and kind of just the more cutesy stuff all in one So I was really, really excited about that, and I just felt so good going into the sketch. And since my hand is going to be blocking some of this for a while, let me talk about the other page that you guys didn't see me draw. That big character drawn in the bottom left of the right page is my OC Hypnos without his glasses on. Do you guys remember him? No, you don't. But I have OCs, Thanatos and Hypnos. I've never drawn Hypnos on my channel, but I have painted Thanatos for Drawtober. But they're brothers, like in the mythos, but I just love my Hypnos OC. Total playful sweetheart, always in his jammies, and probably is honestly like a sleep studies major. Like, he's probably getting a degree in psychology so that he can do sleep studies. Probably all he's doing with his life. He's not as well explored as Thanatos. I mostly designed Hypnos for the sake of having Thanatos' brother, like, decided for when I went through the character design, because, you know, they're supposed to be twins. And I have opted to have the feathers hideable, like the side face wings that they have, because I don't necessarily think that I really want to draw them every time. I do want my god characters to be able to just inhabit society casually, things like that. And I'm realizing that the sketch of that jacket that I have really looks wrong because the puffy sleeve makes it look like the waist is extra cinched. That's not an extra cinched waist on the bottom yellow sticky note, by the way. Now that I've drawn attention to it, it's gonna haunt you guys, but it does look very off in retrospect now that I'm seeing it on the tiny screen, so I'm really sorry about that. Another thing I can point out is that the foot up in the top left corner on nameless character, because why would I name my characters, right, is covered over in a different paper, because her foot originally looked like a kidney bean. I made it way too wrinkly and scrunched because my feet curl a lot, and it ended up way too kidney beanie. It was actually hysterical. I posted it on my story. Much to my pleasure, somebody did just DM me the kidney beans, and I sent them a kidney bean emoji back. So that was a great interaction with my life. And I think I deleted the photo, which is a shame. I wish I didn't, but yeah. So that's a different color, just to make this page more stressful. And then I wanted to just try and draw a millionaire connoisseur with a big coat. I don't really know what was in my head, but I don't know. I don't hate the sketch in the top right-ish area, but it's definitely not good, and I really wish the foot wasn't in the way of Hypnos' hand. But yeah, I love Hypnos. He's so cute, wearing his big oversized sweater dress, jammies, looking all innocent, throwing his hands up in surrender. He's a great OC, and I really do want to maybe do like a comic page or two one of these days of just Hypnos and Than living their best lives, being obnoxious brothers to each other. Ooh, what kind of pranks would Hypnos and Thanatos play on each other as younger gods? Oh, that would be so fun. I might have to explore that one of these days. I didn't take comics for nothing, guys. I swear. Comics. I took comics last year. I've taken comics within 365 days. I should actually make myself do something with that knowledge and that experience. And I'm totally not going to use that argument to draw cute little pages about my OCs being menaces to society. But with where we're at now, I think it's fair to discuss how I was not expecting one of the biggest roadblocks in my entire week to be shoes. But I don't know what it is. I am so bad at drawing sophisticated shoes. I can draw a boot any day all day, I can give you a nice chunky ankle boot. But the minute I need to draw dress shoes that look like some dapper man in a tux is wearing them, or heels, I'm gone. I'm useless. The shoe looks like the head of the characters in Spy vs. Spy. One of my favorite games when I was a kid, especially to play multiplayer with my little brother. This shoe was the bane of my existence. I spent so much time trying to figure out these feet. I'm not even kidding. It was so bad. But, ultimately, I do pull through. I promise. I don't give up. And that does just tell me I need to dedicate a page or two to drawing shoes and really sit down and force myself to re-encounter and re-establish shoes, break down the shapes better and stuff like that. If you guys want to watch me struggle to draw shoes, let me know. I have a page in an old sketchbook number 8, of me trying to figure out how to draw roller skates. It was horrible. Me trying to draw shoes is just, it probably would drive you guys crazy. I cannot comprehend. But yeah, maybe you guys would really like to just lose your minds watching me try and draw shoes. It might not be a bad idea. But I do need to do that soon, so, it's going to happen one of these days. But now that the sketch is actually a little bit more established, yeah, Vivian does not have a head right now, but we are kind of getting a better idea of his situation. I don't know how Nameless got him up there, but I do know it's her fault. And I do know she's playing innocent through the whole thing. But Vivian and Nameless generally have a more friendly, pseudo-romantic, but they're not dating, kind of relationship, right? She is a bit younger in terms of the fact that Vivian, her, and Eris are immortal. She's the youngest of the immortal trio I have. Hypnos and Than are also immortal, but they're not the trio, right, guys? So she is the youngest, so it was initially a bit more of a mentorship relationship that kind of just established into more of a friendship. But Vivian initially was responsible for ensuring that she established herself and kind of settled into the organization that they work for and the new science lab and everything and the responsibilities well, without much mishap. And that mentorship kind of was merged by Eris and her being kind of the connecting one, the middle one in age, and helping to establish a bit less professionalism in the environment so that their real personalities could show through and that they could actually start communicating more as friends rather than, I'm checking in to make sure you didn't light yourself on fire today, which, knowing Nameless, she probably did light herself on fire that day, and he probably should have checked in ages earlier. But I don't know, I feel like I wanted their relationship initially to be just, he's so stiff and he's so anti-new people and not really approachable, that I really wanted a lot of their early relationship to be defined by the fact that neither of them were really kind of ready to make friends with anybody, and they didn't know how to loosen up, right? So he's really old, he's loved and lost a lot of people, he's very much burdened by immortality, he's been going through it for a long time, right? And so I wanted him to have that kind of hardened mindset of there is no good reason to love and establish relationships. And when I say love, I mean romantically and in a friendship term, any kind of found family relationship, all of that, I wanted him to be perceiving as a burden when they initially met and the trio started, right? Because I needed to be true to what I think he would be like as an individual with the experience he had and his origin story, right? I don't think someone like him and like who he was would be soft after his lived experience, if that makes sense, It didn't feel right, and so I needed that hardened kind of personality and that disinterest and closed off nature, right? That was a requirement. And with Nameless, she's very young to immortality, only recently rebirthed, kind of just settling into being undead and everything of that nature, being incapable of dying. She hasn't really uncovered the hardships of immortality and what kind of comes with outliving everyone that you loved. She died recently, but she hasn't actually been around long enough to surpass age-wise the people she was with prior to death, right? However, if anybody is going to light stuff on fire more than Nameless, it's Eris. Eris is named after and is intended as the incarnate of chaos, right? So the kind of like how Thanatos is a death incarnate and Hypnos is a sleep incarnate, she is the incarnate of chaos, right? So with that, she very much draws trouble to her. It's kind of a Murphy's Law kind of attitude. Just trouble follows her more than anything else. She's going to cause a mess, chaos wherever she goes. If it can go wrong, it will go wrong. And if it can't go wrong, she'll find a way to make it go wrong, right? Just an absolute mess. So there was definitely that kind of attitude and desire within their initial dynamic. And it's in her kind of looseness, but strict professionalist idea. She's very dapper. She's got professionalism to her, but she just cannot maintain anything because everything's always going to go wrong. And she's learned that she has to go with the flow and loosen up and kind of just accept things as they roll with the punches, basically. That kind of allowed their relationship to blossom and for them to have those kind of more non-professional break room type conversations, because they otherwise just aren't the type of people to kind of seek relationships with anybody. Neither of them are the type of people that are particularly good at saying, hi, I really would like to eat lunch with you, or I totally like this experiment idea you came up with. Where did you collect these samples? It's just, you're not on fire, I can go now. Great. Regardless of his curiosity about her science experiments within the lab, or either of them having mutual interest within their regions of experiments, right? It's just not something either of them would particularly be the type to reach out and inquire about. So it was something that I very much enjoyed kind of getting to explore, and I really do need to kind of document more effectively them as a trio. I feel like it's always two, never the three of them kind of getting into trouble when I actually go out of my way to draw them. And it's mostly because their height dynamic is kind of all over the place. I know that Nameless is probably like 4'10", Vivian's 6'1", and Eris is 5'8". So it's kind of just like, it's way harder than I ever expected to find reference photos for those height differences that are reliable. And I get really, really anxious to actually go out of my way to draw them standing next to each other, in fear that Nameless will end up looking like Eris and Vivian's child instead of a adult, because she's just so short compared to everybody. And that was hearkened from the fact that I love an angry short character, and I'm a short person, right? So I love the dynamic. It's always fun to have a short person be harassed by a tall person. And so in the little sketch that I'm working on right now, just the little pen sketch, just the full shoulder slouch down, lean forward for Vivian to rest his chin on Nameless's head. That was something I really wanted to do and kind of try and figure out a little bit. I do think he needs to be slouched more, but with his shoulders coming up to his ears, he's very much leaning forward to do this. It's not convenient, it's not comfortable for him at all. And that was kind of the beauty of the sketch, and just a little bit of their dynamic that I wanted to display and get to play around with a little bit. And I don't know, I love those types of drawings and character design visuals, you know, the tall character resting their chin on the short character's forehead or the arm. I love those types of illustrations when other artists do them. I just wanted to sketch it out. It's not an illustration by any means. It's not something I'm going to be finishing with like color or something of the sort, but I definitely want to one of these days just draw the trio and just piling on and just being a mess. Maybe they can form a head train, like with Nameless on the bottom, Eris in the middle, and Vivian on top. Just the varying heights and chin restings. That would be so much fun. I'm sorry, I'm totally rambling. I just really love my OCs a lot. So it's very much a pleasure for me to just talk about their cute dynamics. And I don't know, they mean a lot to me. I've had quite a few of my OCs for some years now, and they've been living in my head. And I didn't start my Instagram account as a kind of original character sort of thing, and I feel like a lot of the people who follow me over there are there for my fan art. So I never really got like people interested in my OCs, and I have an opportunity now to like establish my OCs as people that exist, well, characters that exist now before I'm like in too deep, you know what I mean? So I don't know, I have the opportunity to ramble and no one can stop me. But if it's really annoying, let me know in the comments and I'll try to behave. Also, the little sketch of Nameless peeking up out of the bottom, I love it so much. It was super fun. Basic blue highlighter for the background. And Nameless feels zero remorse. So totally can't see it, but it just says thanks and you're welcome at the bottom. So, you know, sarcastic little thanks, and she totally is just completely ignorant to the fact that it's sarcastic or playing along. She's kind of bad at reading tones, not particularly good at knowing when things are a joke, but when she does, she's definitely going to take it in full swing. So, very much another component of their dynamic that I enjoy. They're both sarcastic assholes, so. Little secret, I have a really halted speech pattern, so I have to record my audio in little chunks because I have to take out so many empty gaps where I'm just stopping in the middle of sentences, and I don't want you guys to like think that I'm not here because they're so long. They're like multiple seconds of just nothing in the middle of my sentences. It's really bad. I have a really halted way of speaking. And so it's always odd to me how quickly I get to the end of my videos and then I have to record my outro, but I have so much more I want to say. So yeah, we're getting to the end, guys, and I have a lot more I want to say, so I think I'm going to have to start making little shorts where I talk about my OCs a little bit more so that I can have like more conversations about them without feeling like I'm cutting myself off or like dragging you guys on too long through like really long tangents, because sometimes I don't make scripts, so I'm just talking, right? So anyway, end of the video, the text says "You're insufferable" from Vivian, and you'll see the little I know text at the end. So that's them. Like if you like, dislike if you dislike, subscribe if you're interested, comment. I'll be chatting with you guys down there. And thank you for watching this all the way through. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, wherever you are. And I guess that's it. So, bye-bye!